If you're searching for NeuroQuiet ingredients before buying, stop for a second. Because after researching this product, I discovered something that almost every review is leaving out. Some of these ingredients actually make scientific sense. But that doesn't automatically mean NeuroQuiet works. And honestly, the ingredients themselves aren't even the biggest issue, because the real question isn't what's inside the bottle. It's whether this exact formula deserves your money. So before spending anything, I decided to investigate it myself. And no, this is not another video telling you this is a miracle cure. In fact, if that's what you're looking for, this probably isn't the right video. Because after hours of research, my conclusion is much more balanced. Some things surprised me. Some things raised concerns. And one thing in particular completely changed my perspective. But we'll get to that later. First, a quick disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. My process is very simple. I analyze ingredients, I search for independent scientific evidence, I compare science with marketing. And then I ask one question: is this a reasonable formula, or is it just another supplement making big promises? Because consumers deserve to know the difference. So here's the short answer. Are the NeuroQuiet ingredients random? No. Do some of them have legitimate scientific reasoning? Yes. Is NeuroQuiet itself scientifically proven? No. And that's where many reviews become misleading. Because ingredient research is not the same thing as product research. Remember that. Because? And we'll come back to it later. Unlike many tinnitus supplements, NeuroQuiet isn't a capsule. It's a sublingual spray. You spray it under your tongue. Wait a few seconds, then swallow. The idea is to improve absorption. Now, is this revolutionary? Not necessarily, but it does make NeuroQuiet different from many competitors. Then I looked at the formula, and that's where things got interesting. Most tinnitus supplements follow a simple formula: vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. NeuroQuiet doesn't. Its formula leans heavily toward 3 areas: brain chemistry, stress regulation, and blood circulation. And that immediately caught my attention, because this isn't a traditional tinnitus approach. The first ingredient that caught my attention was GABA. Researchers have found differences in GABA activity in people with tinnitus, so scientifically, this choice makes sense. But here's the catch. GABA has difficulty crossing the blood-brain barrier. Could the spray format help? Possibly, but we simply don't know yet. And that's where my skepticism started. Then I found L-Arginine. This ingredient helps the body produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps improve blood flow. Why does that matter? Because some tinnitus theories involve circulation around the inner ear. That sounds promising. But here's another limitation. There isn't strong evidence showing L-Arginine consistently improves tinnitus symptoms. Again, plausible, but not proven. Then I found Alpha-GPC, and this changed my perspective. Because I realized something. Maybe NeuroQuiet isn't trying to eliminate tinnitus. Maybe it's trying to improve everything around the tinnitus experience. Brain fog, mental fatigue, focus, concentration, and honestly, that approach makes much more sense. Then I found L-Tyrosine, an ingredient associated with stress resilience, and Shilajit, an ingredient often associated with energy production and antioxidant support. Neither of these directly targets tinnitus, but they may support how someone feels while living with tinnitus. And that's an important distinction, because supportive is very different from curative. Quick question: have you ever noticed your tinnitus gets worse when you're stressed? Because that's something many people consistently report. I'm genuinely curious. Let me know in the comments. Now we arrive at the most important part of this entire video. Ingredient research is not product research. Let me repeat that. Ingredient research is not product research. A supplement can contain excellent ingredients and still lack strong clinical evidence. And that's exactly the situation here. The ingredients have scientific reasoning, but NeuroQuiet itself has not been extensively validated through publicly available clinical trials. And consumers deserve to know that, because many reviews completely skip this distinction. So what should people realistically expect? Maybe better mental clarity, maybe lower stress, maybe improved focus, maybe a subtle improvement in how they perceive tinnitus, or maybe nothing at all. And that's also possible. Complex conditions rarely have simple solutions. Any video promising otherwise should immediately raise a red flag. This may be a reasonable option for adults who already had their tinnitus evaluated. Experience brain fog, deal with stress, feel mentally overloaded, and want a supportive approach, not a miracle cure. However, if your tinnitus is sudden, one-sided, pulsatile, or accompanied by dizziness, talk to a medical professional first. That's far more important. One final thing, and this has nothing to do with selling the product. If you ever decide to try NeuroQuiet, only buy it from the official website. Not because it's magical, but because supplements are one of the categories most affected by counterfeit sellers. Third-party marketplaces may sell altered, outdated, or unauthorized versions, and refund policies usually only apply to official purchases. This is simply a consumer safety recommendation, nothing more. So, after researching everything, here's my verdict. NeuroQuiet is more thoughtful than many generic tinnitus supplements. The ingredients aren't random. The science behind some of them is reasonable, but the product itself is not strongly clinically validated. If your expectations are realistic, NeuroQuiet may be worth cautiously considering. But if you're looking for guaranteed results, strong clinical proof, and complete dosage transparency, this product doesn't fully provide that. At least not yet. And honestly, I think that's the question every consumer should ask. Not, does NeuroQuiet work? But, does this formula make enough scientific sense to justify a cautious experiment? If this investigation helped you, tell me in the comments what surprised you the most about the NeuroQuiet ingredients.